The rain has moved on, sunny skies are overhead, and it's time to go racing for GT America, powered by AWS at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Hello everyone, welcome to America's National Park of Speed. Along with Calvin Fish, I'm Ryan Marine. Special guest in the broadcast booth for this broadcast as well. We welcome Mackay Stevens, and we'll hear from him in just a moment. DJ Clark is down on the pit lane for us as well, chasing all the stories on the grid. Field already making its way out onto the racetrack in much different conditions today, Cal, than we saw yesterday. Rain very much affected the proceedings, and I think everyone here at Road America is happy to see sunny skies, temperatures approaching 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the track temperature starting to rise as well as the sun bakes the asphalt.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Relatively small grid, of course, but perfect conditions. It's really cool this morning. It's only about 66 degrees ambient temp, so all of these drivers have to really work hard here, Mackay, I would think, on this formation lap to try and generate a little bit of tire temp before we get to green.
Yeah, certainly. So for all the platforms that are out there, each manufacturer is going to have its own sequence of events that leads to bringing in the front axle and the rear axle, especially as we enter such a high-speed turn one.
Mackay Stevens, of course, a GT World Challenge America driver for JMF Motorsports. We appreciate his insight and expertise on the program today. Here's the starting grid. Memo Gidley, a winner yesterday. He'll start from pole position in this race. Kyle Washington had the second fastest lap of the race yesterday. By virtue of that, he starts alongside in P2. Then it's Ross West and Farhan Siddiqui making up row number 2. Out back, I'm afraid we won't see either of these cars, Jason Bell nor Blake McDonald. McDonald focusing on GT World Challenge America. Jason Bell involved in an accident yesterday. That car could not be repaired. Justin Rothberg, the points leader, will start out back after incurring a grid position penalty for derogated bronze status and performance above the expected level for a derogated bronze. So he's got some work to do coming from the back, but Cal, he did it yesterday. Hopefully he's got a bit more time under green to get it done today. That's got to be his thought process.
Yeah, and this is the backup car here. I just texted with Robbie Foley. Robbie actually did a hardship lap this morning on this car. Turner Motorsports have never turned a wheel with this car. It's an ex-Paul Miller Racing BMW M4 that they purchased and got it out the trailer, did the hardship lap. So 0 kilometers on it until there was a couple of laps here this morning.
And the reason for it was a heavy crash in the corner that's upcoming here in the King. And it was a deluge at the time. Standing water in places. Looked like it caught Justin out a bit, and he made frontal impact to the left-hand side of the track, but was able to bounce back and race later in the day in GT World Challenge America. And Mackay, sometimes that's what you need as a driver, right? To get right back on the horse and not dwell on the incident that put you in the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a hard thing for any driver to do, especially as they're trying to really grow within themselves, but certainly the organizations as well. I mean, credit to the team here for having that backup car situated and being able to take the fight the next morning.
Now that's always the challenge for a racing driver when things go amiss, but the benefit of his busy weekend is it doesn't take long until he's on the track again, splitting time across multiple championships, going for a pair of titles here this year. Safety car with the lights off, about to make its way up the hill and into the pit lane. In the field now, in the control of the pole sitter, the veteran Memo Gidley in the Audi for Ski Auto Sports. It's Kyle Washington starting alongside. Ross West in the Corvette starts in the second row with Farhan Siddiqui, and then it's Rothberg. Keep an eye on him to charge as the green flag waves, roaring down the front straightaway here at Road America towards turn 1. Washington looking stout on the outside there, taking the fight to Gidley, and the two make contact into turn 1. Both go wide, and the door opens for Schwest to come through as Gidley goes around.
Yeah, and Rothberg immediately up to second. Washington has recovered here a little bit. Siddiqui in fourth. Gidley, our winner here yesterday, gets the car turned. How much damage on the front end? Just don't have the tire temperature to deal with the argy-bargy on the opening corner.
Yeah, certainly so. I mean, gosh, there's so much going on this opening sequence here, and as you can see, as we proceed down to T5, we're still looking for some tire temperature in various platforms, but we got to keep the head up, and hopefully they can report back to the team and make sure that everything's still okay with the car, and then keep rolling.
Incident is under review from race control. That was a big boost for the hopes of Justin Rothberg. Picked up a couple of positions without having to risk the race car. He now finds himself second already, chasing Ross Schwest, who had a good day yesterday. He leads this race in the Corvette. Let's take one more look at this here, Cal.
Well, I think both drivers there on the front row were committed to getting that lead into the front corner. Carl tried to turn in there, but essentially Mamo had that slot filled. They had the contact, and again, without that tire temperature to give you a safety net there, he goes for a quick spin.
You can understand the aggression from Kyle Washington. He comes into the weekend second in points, trying to chase down Justin Rothberg, and his best chance to do so is to score maximum points. It looked like he was willing to lay it all on the line there to try and get to the lead.
Yeah, he trimmed that lead that was 25 points coming into this weekend down to 20 yesterday by finishing on the podium when Rothberg obviously not seeing the checkered flag. Gidley back underway.
He's recovered. He had the fastest lap of the race yesterday by a wide margin, albeit in much different conditions. It was a heavy rain shower that was coming down here at Road America at the time, and he leaned on all that experience in the wet to put in the fastest lap of the race and secure pole position. Right now, though, he is flying. Just did the race's best middle sector as he tries to recover, but he's 16 seconds behind the leader of the race. Field comes around to complete the lap, and it is Schwest that leads. Rothberg falling back into the clutches of Washington, who is undeterred, already looking aggressive once again, trying to pry second place away as Gidley gives chase.
Yeah, and this racetrack, Mackay, is going to be what we call green. There's a lot of heavy rain here yesterday, so that'll change the feel on the race car out there this morning, I would think.
Absolutely. So not only are the drivers looking to adapt, but so are the teams. So maybe there was some group discussion last night going into this morning, barring the conditions, and then as the air as well as ambient temps kind of come up, then we'll see how it transitions. We still got some time left in this one, so it's a long fight ahead.
Certainly is, and this is a crucial time as well for a few of these drivers that are doing double duty. They're also racing in GT World Challenge. That race coming up later today, 2:45 local time. Of course, that's where you'll see Mackay Stevens in action. So you've had the chance to share the track with a few of these drivers, Schwest and Rothberg and Washington at various times. Are you surprised at all to see Kyle aggressive there at the start?
No, I mean, not one bit, but all three of these drivers and beyond quite respectful, very heads up, and certainly have tremendous mentorship as well.
Well, it's been ruled on, and promptly by race control. A drive-through penalty is coming the way of Kyle Washington. Cal, you're nodding your head?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he just tried to turn in, and Mamo was there, and Mamo went for the ride. So I think it was a relatively easy call there from the steward's room. But Carl's just got to get his head down. Unfortunately, it's a long, long pit lane here. You lose a ton of time with the length of that. So he's going to drop back onto the racetrack behind Gidley, I would think.
Yeah, Gidley right now 16.7 seconds behind the race leader, but is catching Farhan Siddiqui. That would be for fourth position, which would become third once Washington serves that penalty. We'll see if he makes the call to the pit lane this time by, or if they delay that. Typically, you want to get that out of the way nice and early, but that's not the case here this time. Washington remains on track and continues to put the pressure on the man he's chasing, not just on track, but in the championship as well, Justin Rothberg.
Yeah, and the pit lane delta here is about 35 seconds, so if he's 15 seconds ahead, he's going to come out 20 seconds behind, but he makes a bold move down the inside, really deep on the brakes. See the car squirming around, probably getting into the ABS there, arrest the speeds at apex. That was a nice move, Mackay.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's see how it plays out here as we still got some pretty significant straightaways, though. And given the two different platforms, strength and weaknesses on both ends, so it's up to the drivers and the teams to take advantage of it.
You have to wonder if Turner Motorsports have already alerted Justin Rothberg that Washington is going to get that penalty, so don't fight him too hard.
Yeah, it's good information to have. The car you're fighting owes the penalty. No reason to get overly robust in your defense, and Rothberg certainly didn't make it easy on Kyle Washington, but on the other hand, didn't take any undue risk either. All of this, though, has allowed Ross Schwest to escape. 3.2 seconds his lead. Had a season-best second-place finish yesterday. And Cal, we've been talking about it really over the last handful of races, whether here in GT America or GT World Challenge. This little Schwest Povolato racing team has seemed to unlock some of the performance in the Corvette in recent weeks.
They really have, and I mean, looking at that race car on the racetrack, it looks so dialed in. It really carves the corners nicely. Obviously, they burst onto the scene last year with DXDT, winning a bundle of races mid-season last year, threatening for the championship. So the car is really good, Mackay. Where do you think the strength is of that Corvette when you're up against it out on the racetrack?
So in experience with it, in practical experience, it's certainly some of the high-speed sequences and the low-speed traction zones, given how the chassis is designed. But as the leading driver, it's always wonderful to have a little bit of drama behind you and not be a part of it. But yet for everybody else, they wish that they were at the front.
Race Vision powered by AWS, breaking the track down into its 3 sectors. And this car here has the best sector times in sectors 2 and 3. Sector 1, though, belongs to that Corvette of Ross Schwest. Gidley with the fastest time of the race, best lap of the race, or he did until just a moment ago. Ross Schwest took it back, a 2:08.8.
Watch this lap, though. This is a good one for Gidley as well. Just went purple in sector 2.
Comes across the line, and it is a 2:08.3, so half a second clear of Schwest. New fastest lap of the race to Memo Gidley. Tough situation to be in, though, Mackay, where your race has gone wrong already. Turn 1, lap 1, and you have to put it all behind you.
Yes, you do. I mean, it's funny. You wake up the morning of with a vision of how things are going to play out, and then that is certainly not the case come the 30 seconds into the race, but that's all right. Head on the shoulders and eyes forward.
Have you ever had a race where that vision you had pre-race played out perfectly?
I would say no, but I would say also that's what you're constantly pursuing, just like the optimum pole lap. That's what you're looking for every weekend.
I think Gidley, though, knows how aggressive Kyle Washington is willing to be, so I think he knew that he was going to have a fight into turn 1. Both drivers took it in there super deep. And I think Kyle thought he'd sort of run the outside lane there and he'd get to apex, but Memo was equally aggressive and forceful there down to the inside, and consequently we had the contact there.
Of note, Washington is yet to serve that penalty. He still runs in second, 3.8 seconds behind the race leader.
We did the track preview the other day and we looked at this corner of the carousel. Such a unique sector of this racetrack, Mackay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the most challenging sections there, but not only as itself is so difficult, but then it leads into the kink. And
I think you called it the monster, right?
I did, yes indeed, because every time I get over there, I feel like it's a breathing dragon that I have to slay. But ultimately, it's a real test of engineering, driver comfort, and really a testament to the weekend itself.
How much of an engineering compromise is this track? You've got those long straightaways where I'm sure you want to be as trimmed out as possible to get through the air cleanly without the drag, but on the other hand, a corner like the carousel, fairly high speed, and you want as much of that downforce on the car as you can get.
Absolutely. It's certainly a barter trade, as we discussed a few days ago. You want to have your cake and eat it too here. I mean, you want to be fast at every single section, every single corner that is, but every single element of the corner as well. And granted, the duration of them is quite critical and unique to the Temple of Speed.
And I always felt that trade-off aero-wise in terms of downforce and getting through the corners. You think, okay, maybe I can deal with that a little bit and be more efficient down the straightaways, but it also affects the brake zones. You've got heavy brake zones here as well at Road America.
Yes, exceptionally heavy brake zones, in addition to them being downhill, a bit of crowning in the road as well. That always makes things quite interesting. Yesterday I certainly had my own moment into T5 with a little bit of moisture still proceeding off the outside edge.
And we'll talk more about those conditions in the race yesterday a little bit later on, but we do need to welcome in the 4th member of the broadcast, DJ Clark, down in the pit lane. What stories are you keeping tabs on for us here this morning?
Well, there's a whole bunch of stories to be able to keep an eye on, Ryan, but the one that I wanted to check in on first was Ski Autosport. First and foremost, car's fine, as you can tell by those times set down by Memo Gidley. I talked to him about strategy, how they're going to approach this. They said with the times they're setting, they're looking at maybe about 2nd place or so, maybe 1st if they're lucky, but they compared it to their race at Sebring, and they said, we know how to do this. We know what we can get.
Gidley, a race winner already this year, a couple of times over. One yesterday, one at Sebring as well. So they do have that experience to draw upon. Thank you, DJ, and all of these drivers. They can stand on the podium. They get welcomed to that podium by our DJ Clark, and that's an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite the experience. I mean, granted, it's what you're seeking, you know, from the moment you show up, the moment the trucks load in and the doors get released. I mean, everybody is really fighting for the top step of the podium.
Ooh, problems for Washington, who had not yet served his penalty. He spins off. That's at Billy Mitchell Bend on the run to turn 14.
I think he may have just dropped wheels coming out of there. Looped it back across the racetrack. I think Rothberg was a bit of a distance behind him and wouldn't have been involved in that initially.
That promotes Rothberg up to second. And again, this car is still yet to take that penalty. Maybe it happens now. Looks like that is indeed the case. Kyle Washington makes the trek down the pit lane, adding insult to injury, I'm afraid, after the spin just a moment ago.
Oh, he's got steering issues.
Yep. And what do you make of that? What have you seen, Mackay?
Yeah, so as Calvin alluded to, here we go.
That started early.
Such a tricky corner. I think it's one of the most difficult corners on this racetrack. It should be. Did you ever run it when the bridge was there, Mackay?
No.
It was even more tricky because it's kind of blind as well, but it's a very tricky corner to get right, and you're just off at the wrong radius. And I think something, as soon as he probably went to the brake pedal hard to arrest his speed to be down to the 50K, something was amiss there with the steering as well.
Now, Kyle's not had many days like this year. It's been a remarkably consistent campaign. 3 wins. Only 2 previous finishes off the podium so far in 2025. But this will be one to forget, I'm afraid, for Kyle Washington, who is stationary in the pit lane. Meanwhile, Memo Gidley has tracked down the newcomer, Farhan Siddiqui. 2 different generations of the Audi. Gidley's is the fully updated Evo 2 spec. Siddiqui's is an older variety of the R8. And right here, Gidley just has to be patient and time this move. No sense taking undue risk going side by side through the kink when you've got a great passing opportunity here in Canada Corner waiting the next corner up the road.
Talk about the aero wash that you would have experienced there, Mackay, in these GT3 cars when you're tucked right up under the tail of another car coming through that high-speed corner.
Yeah, so aero wash, I mean, this being my first year and really dealing with it in the GT3 category, it totally changes the entire dynamic of the corner. You have a turn-in point, you have an apex that you're targeting, and a track out, and all of a sudden, none of those 3 points combine for what you've been intending. So granted, the objective is to likely try to offset to the car just ahead of you and try to put a right front or a left front corner in some clean air and predict the aero wash that will come across.
Kyle Washington chatting with the crew here, discussing what's going on. He's probably surprised by what happened to the race car when he did try and... Seemed like the car was steering okay, and then it seemed like when he probably got more on the brake pedal there to arrest that line, that's when it veered off to the left there coming into pit lane, Mackay.
Yes, indeed. And then in addition, I mean, it's a bummer as we could see that the wet grass really, just accelerated all of the issues that he's having in this scenario, which is an absolute bummer. Granted, you want to be able to recover, and Road America is such a wonderful circuit, and it's the distance of the walls to the actual asphalt, but when the grass is wet, unfortunately, you go faster, not slower.
Talk about potential here for Gidley. He's now up to P3, Rothberg running in P2, about 6 seconds ahead, but looking at the fastest laps right now, Gidley's pace is about 1.5 seconds quicker than Rothberg, so about 4 laps or so, maybe even beyond the tail, and there's plenty of time left on the clock here, so I think the team was spot on in terms of their assessment and prediction of how far he could climb back through this field.
Even in traffic on the last lap, Gidley was able to claw in about 1/10 of a second, and that's with Ross Schwest turning in his best lap of the race. But Ross is getting more and more comfortable too. He just did the race's best middle sector. That's something we've noticed with Ross over the years, back to his GT4 days. It just seemed like as the race progressed, he'd get more confident, start pushing the envelope a little bit more, and often was doing his best laps towards the end of these races.
Yeah, and I think that's what you find. The Pirelli P0 gives you great grip. It doesn't seem to have too much tire degradation through the stint. And I think with any AM driver, you just get where you you kind of read off your previous lap and feel, oh, I could go on a little bit deeper on that one, and you just inch up on it, versus a true pro and put the car right on the threshold immediately, Mackay.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, and I could imagine that these drivers as well, for those that have competition a bit later on or are receiving some insight from their mentorship, that they also have objectives throughout the race that they're trying to eye in and execute. So not only is the information from the previous lap critically important, but also that reference from the third party saying, hey, this is still what you're looking to target to optimize your lap times.
Speaking of optimizing lap times, right now in sectors 2 and 3, it's the Audi still with Memo Gidley setting the best sector times, but sector 1 still belongs to this Chevy Corvette, and it's an interesting dynamic, isn't it, Mackay, in GT racing, where you've got such different platforms, just looking at them visually, the Porsche to the Corvette, to a Ferrari or an Audi, to a BMW, and yet you see the lap times are remarkably similar, but the way they go about it is totally different.
Yes, indeed. And when you're on circuit behind the wheel and you're bearing witness to the pros and cons of each platform, it's really quite impressive. It's exceptional to be able to witness just how there's so many different walks of life, not only in the car, in the teams, and then in the drivers, how we're still able to, at the end of the lap, come so close to one another.
That's the voice of Mackay Stevens, driver for the JMF Motorsports team at GT World Challenge America. Came into the weekend third in the Pro Class Championship. A couple of wins for you this year, including a win in your GT3 debut at Sonoma. Take us back to that moment and how special that accomplishment was.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely priceless. It's something that you could only dream of. And we talk about, hey, have you ever had the perfect start? Okay, if I can retract that, then absolutely. That was one of those things. The morning of, I thought to myself, how dare you even think that you'd be privileged to win your first race in GT3 machinery, but granted, it was meant to be, and that's the beauty of motorsport, is sometimes things fall in your favor and sometimes they don't, but you always got to keep the head on the shoulders, fight for another day, and that's where really the beauty of teamwork comes in.
I think the inspiration in being a driver for me was, at least, if I could drive into the race circuit in the morning and feel that if I and the team did their job correctly, we were in with the shout of a victory. And I think you've been in that position most of the events this year. It's got to feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it, again, how the drivers are really the ones that get to stand on top of the podium at the end of the weekend, or at the end of the race, pardon me. But granted, we are acting representations of what each organization is doing day in and day out, and all the prep work that goes into it prior to arriving. And that's what you see here. Who can throw their dart closer to the target upon rolling off the trailer? And then in addition to that, it's really a race towards adaptability as situations change.
Well, it's not always a direct trajectory with that dart on the way to the board. Here's an example of it. Memo Gidley had the issue on the opening lap, contact with Kyle Washington, and spun, but watching him charge through the field has been good fun. We saw on that graphic, Race Vision powered by AWS just a few moments ago, lap by lap, just chipping away, and the target now is right there. You could almost reach out and touch it. That's a great inspiration, isn't it, as the chasing driver?
Absolutely. And then as you find yourself kind of really getting up to the rear bumper of the car ahead of your competitor, there's a strange mental dynamic. You know, you've now rather gotten close to that goal. Now it's how am I going to surpass it and overcome the preceding vehicle. So in my personal experiences, it's quite the mental battle of first recovering from the incident, catching your target, and then getting by them.
You've got plenty of experience chasing down some BMWs in GT World Challenge. So if you were in Memo Gidley's shoes here, albeit in a much different car, the Audi compared to your Mercedes, but where would you size up the strengths and weaknesses of that BMW, and where might Gidley be able to pounce?
Yeah, so I would say let's pay some homage to, as we alluded to, the Carousel and the Kink. But right here we got a great run coming out of the final corner. Let's see what we have down in the T1.
Yeah, right there in the slipstream. Immediately, Rothberg goes on the defensive, covering off the inside. This, though, is where that BMW InPower comes to bear. That said, Gidley pretty stout in a straight line, too. Pops out a line, going side by side with the BMW.
Watch the crossover here. Gidley, you just see there hovering, trying to wait to time that run across the tail of the BMW, but proactively. Rothberg protects. Now he's deep on the brakes on the inside. Gidley's going to get a run on exit.
Again, Gidley trying to use the late apex to get the power down, get alongside the BMW into the brake zone. This will be the outside if Rothberg can stay alongside, but that might not be possible. Look at the Audi zipping down this run towards turn 5, and the pass is made. Memo Gidley, a power move to move up to second place.
Audi's got some straightaway speed as well, but I think for Rothberg and the team, they're just looking at the big picture here. Gidley started this championship season late, so he's not really in the frame. Comes into this round, even despite the win yesterday, 88 points behind Rothberg at the checkered flag tonight. There's only 100 points left on the table by sweeping the rest of the races. So Rothberg's shout right now, and his fight is with Washington, who's in pit lane, so it's still a big point stay for Justin.
And this is just fine for them. Justin's amassed a nice lead, as you chronicled, Cal. And 2 cars in front aren't particularly troublesome from a points perspective. And now we'll see what Gidley can do. He's got 13.5 seconds to try and overcome. That's the gap to the leader, Ross Schwest, who continues to set his personal best laps, lap after lap. Here he is, leader of the race. Well, Kyle Washington, we saw him in the pit lane. I think DJ's got an update on Kyle's situation. What do you have for us, DJ?
Yeah, Ryan, I had a chance to catch up with Kyle and the GMG team, and they basically said the suspension was a little bit messed up as a result of that contact, kind of as you guys suspected. Talked to Kyle as well, and he simply said, that was on me. I just touched the grass, and, well, he compared it to like Peyton Manning throwing a football, that it just kept on going as soon as he touched it.
Well, that's a fellow Colts fan there, DJ Clark, so it brings back some happy memories for us. Let's take a look here at what Kyle was dealing with as he was just limping his way down the pit lane. So we already saw him. Oh, this was, again, we did see this earlier, didn't we? Just coming up the pit lane, clearly the car not pointed straight, and when he went to the brakes, it veered to the left, made some additional contact.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sensors that can be ripped apart when you're taking a rough ride like he did on the off in turn 13, and obviously the hit with the barrier on the entry to 14. And then we went to the brakes there, obviously had the issue. So he'll live to fight another day. He'll take it on the chin and move forward to Barber.
It has been a really good season, though, for Kyle. We've seen him take a big step forward in both GT America as well as in GT World Challenge America. Now, who could this handsome young man be? Rosella has found the famous, world-famous Calvin Fish cardboard cutout, and it makes its return to the TV airwaves here in North America for the first time in quite some time.
I don't have many regrets in life, but certainly that was one. By agreeing, that was not my choice to put that cowboy hat on that day. I used to drive for the Zip Kart racing team, and Martin Hines suddenly showed up with these cowboy hats and told us all to put them on. You can see from my face and expression there, I was not really digging it. What do you think, Mackay?
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? And certainly, so we have the privilege to be behind the wheel when it comes down to it, and that also means that you got to play the part, and that's on both sides of the coin.
You think you could pull that look off, Mackay?
I could certainly give it one heck of a try, but I wouldn't dare challenge the man.
No, none
the
of us.
The good thing is it's black and white, so I'll give up a little bit more information. My leathers were actually silver.
Silver?
Yes, silver. Silver inlays.
Was that your choice?
No. I did actually think at the time it was pretty cool. But
now, we've got our director, producer, Richard Hay, who's got a big archive of photos he can go back to, and you just gave him
oh my goodness,
a tantalizing target to go try and find it. And I'd say by Indianapolis, there's a pretty good chance we're going to find you in full color in those silver leathers.
Let's focus on the race here, Ryan, please.
Well, after seeing that, it's hard to do, but all right, we'll try and get back to it. Watching Memo Gidley pursue the race leader, he's been able to make a little bit of headway in that deficit, but Ross Schwest's pace has been good. He was quicker than Gidley on the last lap. It's now 14 seconds between the two. This is a position that Ross really has not been in quite some time. Back in his GT4 days in GT America, he led races and actually won a championship. But since making the step to GT3, I'm not sure he's been in a position quite like this with a healthy lead that he needs to hang on and a hard-charging former IndyCar driver right behind him.
Yeah, and I think I'm correct in saying, Ryan, you'll probably correct me here, but I don't think they've seen victory lane in either of the championships, so could be a breakthrough win for that group here this morning.
Yeah, not in GT3, that is correct.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So that would be a major, major accomplishment. I'm sure Ross would be thrilled, but I'm not sure anyone would be happier than Aaron Povoleto, who helps to run the team, lends his name to the Schwez Povoleto racing team. Super passionate guy, really solid racer in his own right, and we've seen that on display. His talent has shined through the last couple of rounds, starting at VIR, where they really seem to have this car in the right window.
They really do, and his pace is good. I mean, Gidley's obviously a little bit quicker, but I'm sure from Ross's perspective, with that potential first win on the line, he's managing things a little bit with the healthy gap that he has up front now. It sits at 14 seconds, but his fast lap is only about half a second off what this man is putting on the racetrack right now, Mackay.
Yeah, and it's very easy to kind of fall out of rhythm when you find yourself with a significant enough margin to the cars behind, with that tantalizing little bit of, hey, you very well might take the W, and how significant it would be to the team and everybody. That's, I mean, gosh, how wonderful would it be? So, to your point, I mean, granted, there may be a bit of a reserve, maybe driving 95% in order to take it to the end, but then that's a dangerous, very, very dangerous tail to play with, because if you fall out of rhythm, especially at a high commitment circuit like Road America, it can bite you.
Should also give a shout to Farhan Siddiqui. He's fourth of the 4 cars on track, but doing really good lap times. In fact, quicker right now than the points leader, Justin Rothberg. And this is his first weekend in this car. Here he is, making his way down the hill towards turn 5. Really impressive when you consider, too, it's not like he had a race yesterday that he could learn a whole lot from. It was done in a total downpour. So these are his first race laps in this car in the dry.
That is a great shout. Yeah, he just ran a 2:09 flat compared to Ross Schwest's best lap of this race at a 2:08.1. Gidley's got fast lap at a 2:07.57. So this is an excellent performance by Siddiqui here. Car looks to be handling well, putting the power down well. There's so many nuances to the various corners around here, but I'd say one thing that you really want, you need that little bit of straightaway speed to make it raceable, but in terms of you need it good on the brakes and power down to really launch onto those straightaways as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and then consistency within the platform as the tire deck comes in, as the fuel burns off. I mean, granted, for these drivers, myself included, everybody at large, if you don't have consistency in your relationship with the lap, with the evolution of the deck, then it's very difficult to try to progress. So to your point, though, if you have a car that provides a lot of confidence, a lot of consistency in those major brake zones and the high-speed, rather off-camper entries, and certainly on the slow-speed traction, it just allows for you to stay a bit more engaged with limited risk.
Our leader, Ross Schwest, appears to have that right now, matching lap times, more or less, with Memo Gidley leading by 13.5 seconds. DJ, what are you hearing from the Schwest Povoleto camp?
It's not a lot of chatter from the camp to their driver, Ross Schwest. They basically told me that they are just giving him gaps, and that comes through once a lap, that they give him that gap, and then from there, they're letting him drive. They've got confidence in their driver, and they think they can pull this out.
Thanks, DJ. Yeah, Ross driving really well right now. Just 11 minutes, 15 seconds left to try and hang on to this lead of the race and maybe score his first win in SRO 3 competition here in GT America. Could have a battle for the podium here before too much longer, Cal.
Yeah, this is getting really tight. I suddenly started looking at the gaps there and the intervals between these two drivers fighting it out, I think, for that final podium spot for our championship leader. Yes, it's kind of championship management with Kyle Washington no longer in this race, his nearest competitor, but he certainly wants to grab that podium and walk away with 15 versus 12 points here today. And Siddiqui is catching him.
Rothberg's had to up his pace. His last lap was his best. He's done personal best sector times sporadically over the last few laps, and even so, the Audi is closing in one lap after the next. Keep an eye on the fight. But before it breaks out, did want to spend a couple of moments highlighting our guest, Mackay Stevens, because your journey to motorsport is unconventional, to say the least. For folks at home that don't know, can you give them the brief synopsis of where the interest came from and then all the hard yards that went into ultimately ending up in the position you find yourself in?
Yeah, certainly so, and thank you very much, because being here in the booth with you gentlemen today is another little feather in the cap to the ever-growing journey that is. And it started when I was a youngster, 2 years of age, but and we have a moment.
Yep, Siddiqui with the spin there in 14. He was pushing the envelope, going faster and faster with each passing lap. The 360 there out of the final corner, able to continue on, though, did not make contact, but that is a relief for Justin Rothberg, who now can settle into his rhythm with 9.5 minutes to go and likely will be unchallenged, trying to hang on for that final step of the podium. Let's look back at this, Cal. What do you make of it?
Well, it seemed pretty sudden on first glance. Let's take a look and listen. Yeah, just tried to really chase. He saw that rabbit in front of him. He was chasing after that podium and just a little bit too aggressive there on track out. How much are you leaning on the electronics at this stage with, you know, you're deeper into the race, tire deckers start to become a little bit of a factor? Do you start playing with the TC a little bit, or is it too interruptive, or is it brand dependent on that?
No, I mean, I think that at least how my relationship with the tools is that treat them as false ceilings, right? So the technology is there. It's tremendous across all the platforms to give you an idea. I almost treat it as if it's a blind man's walking stick, right? So where are the patterns and losses of grip, the level of intervention that the platform is sharing with you, and as long as you're not surprised, or let's put it this way, if you're surprised by intervention, then we may need to lower that ceiling and allow for the car to take ownership of it. Yet, if you've patternized it now and you understand where your traction limitations are, then you can go ahead and give more driver mobility to yourself and raise the ceiling.
How much more can you lean on the electronics in the GT3 car compared to the GT4 car you graduated from?
Yeah, so fortunately enough, you know, in the Mercedes platform, it's quite similar. Granted, everything is just happening at a much higher rate of speed. So with that, I've always envisioned it as mobility versus security, right? And by way of, if you're feeling nervous, all right, let's increase the intervention levels, allow the computer to communicate to you more. But granted, if you have the confidence, then go ahead and raise that ceiling and get on with your own business. But ultimately, gosh, when they do intervene, you are quite thankful for them.
Sure, yeah. Sure. Well, quickly back to your story that we got interrupted while you were telling it there, but you were talking about being a 2-year-old, and that's where the journey began.
Yeah, so at 2 years of age is when I was playing with Hot Wheels cars on my mother's bedspread, but it wasn't until I was 21 years of age where I shared not only with my family but with the world that I wanted to become a racing driver. And credit to Paul Fanner for really devising that there was an opportunity for people with no go-karting experience and/or ties to the world of motorsport to be able to progress. He pitched that to Skip Barber Racing School. I was awarded the scholarship in 2014, and then Mr. Jeremy Shaw, as I like to call my guardian angel, was so kind as to give me the graces to represent the Team USA scholarship in 14. And after that, there was quite a long stint of just hitting the pavement and trying to figure out how you can position yourself in and around opportunities, not only opportunities to drive, of course, but more importantly, opportunities to build relationships and to learn. And that knowledge can come from anywhere at any time. And then Danny Koch was contacted by Mr. Farrow, whom, again, guardian angel number 2, and many people have that story, which is tremendous, and it's a testament to the beautiful people in this world. And for the last 4 years, after participating in the shootout for JMF Motorsports, I've had the privilege to represent them.
It's a really remarkable story, and it gives hope, I suspect, to so many that don't have the means or the opportunity to take the conventional route to top-level motorsport. I suspect not many of your peers spent time working either in construction or in fine art and furniture conservation, which were 2 of your jobs that you held, right? Either before or in that kind of gap in between your racing opportunities.
Got a sofa that needs a little attention.
Yeah, a little TLC. Yeah, I can help you out. But what's so unique is, again, you never know when an experience is going to lead, little golden nuggets that you'll be able to pick up on and utilize later in life. And really learning how to communicate, putting two words together and so forth. I wasn't a Class A student back in school, so I've been able to progress purely through observation and experience.
And Cal, you too, you've had to scrap and claw when you were back in your racing days.
Yeah, I mean, that's what brought me to the States. Essentially, my career came to a bit of a stall point back at the end of '83. Did the first race in '84, had no opportunity over in the UK, and decided to come over here, work as a mechanic for a year and look for new opportunities. Told my mum that I'd be gone a few months and never went back, so I had her full support, fortunately, and she let me chase my dreams. But yeah, there is great opportunity here in the States, but to Mackay's point, you got to pound the pavement, you got to be out there, you got to be networking. And I tell young drivers that you got to be likable. You need people on your side. You never we lose a lot more than we win in this sport.
Absolutely.
And if you're in a bit of a drought, you need people who are on your side and supportive at that point.
Yeah, as they always say, respect is a hard thing to earn, but a very easy thing to lose. And granted, there's so many elements to getting behind the wheel, and that's also when you have moments, as we've seen already in this race here, you have moments of setback. It's very easy to get down on yourself, and then as it impacts the team as well. But as we were discussing earlier, the lessons, they come very, very fast, and they're quite frequent, but they're exceptionally impactful in motorsport, and as we saw in T1 and how that's played out this afternoon.
Well, you're right. You never know when that one lesson you learn suddenly stacks with another that comes your way 2-3 years later, and it's almost like Lego bricks, right? All of a sudden it forms into some kind of coherent shape when before they look like totally disparate pieces that wouldn't even fit together in the same set. So yeah, really insightful as always. Speaking of ending some droughts, we are 2 laps away from Ross West taking his first win since the 2023 season, when he won a race in GT4 America and also won 5 races, finishing 3rd in the championship here in GT America in the GT4 class. It would be his first GT3 win, and he has less than 8 miles to go to secure that victory. What are you thinking right here, Mackay? Are you letting those thoughts creep into your mind, or do you have to push them away?
I mean, I think they find their way in, especially if you naturally take a peek in your rear view and just see what the distance is to the car, and then you have to remind oneself, it's the famous words in motorsport, focus forward, right? Just focus forward. And we have only a handful of minutes remaining here, but then it comes down to, oh, did I feel anything quite different in this lap? Did I hear anything that might make me feel a bit more nervous? All of a sudden vibrations start to nerve you in different ways, but that's when you can lean on the team, ask for their feedback. The telemetry in these vehicles is so stout that it's wonderful to have that constant live support.
I think it's a great thing with predictive lap times coming up on your dashboard, on your steering wheel these days. It just really allows you to stay focused and play some mental games with yourself in these sort of situations where you have a healthy 15-second plus lead, just hitting your marks. And the other thing is, it's not a bad place to be running, right? Around Road America, 4 miles in a GT3 car. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, the acoustics have been tremendous. I mean, granted, having the privilege to sit with you guys here, you're just amazed at how wonderful these machines sound at full song.
And even better when you're in person. Can't recommend enough. Making your way out to the racetrack and taking in an SRO weekend. The access is unparalleled as Ross West comes up the hill to see the white flag. 4 miles separating Ross from his first win in a couple of years. Down towards turn 1, of course, from a sporting family, although basketball really was the passion of the family for a long time. His uncle Laney, something of a black sheep, helped to found NOLA Motorsports Park in New Orleans. So this is very much the leading family in the motorsports scene down in the New Orleans area. I mentioned the basketball. Ross was a tremendous athlete, played high school and college basketball, 1998 and 1999. Was named to the Louisiana High School Basketball All-State team, and when he graduated was the all-time leader at his high school in assists, second in scoring. Went on to play at Georgia Tech and then transferred closer to home to LSU. So an excellent athlete who found racing quite late in life, has been coached really from the very beginning by Aaron Povoleto, who helps to run this team. And this is about to be a breakthrough performance for team and driver alike.
Just listen to that power down there, just so rock solid in terms of launching off that corner. Stability through here. A lot of downforce in these GT3 machines, just really locks the car down on the road as you whistle through there and then set up for this infamous corner. The kink is on his way.
Championships on the resume in Lamborghini Super Trofeo back in 2016, Ferrari Challenge in 2018, and most recently right here in GT America, where he won the GT4 title back in 2022. Made the jump to the GT3 platform last year. Ran a truncated season across both GT World Challenge and GT America. Made the switch over to the Corvette for 2025, and it's about to pay off in a big, big way. Ross Schwest comes around to take the checkered flag, takes his first win in SRO 3. Schwest Povoleto Racing wins race number 2 here at Road America. Great recovery from Memo Gidley from spun around in turn 1, lap 1 to second place on the road. Caps off a strong weekend here once again. Picked up his second win of the year yesterday. And Justin Rothberg in a backup car, let's not forget, that had never turned a lap before this morning when it was granted a hardship lap, completes the podium in third, still in firm control of the championship. And for Farhan Siddiqui, this was a weekend of firsts. First time racing this GT3 car here in GT America. He crosses the line fourth, had great pace, got stronger and stronger as the weekend went along. Little spin that might have cost him a chance at a podium, but all in all, solid weekend for him. However, the man of the hour is right here. I can't wait to hear from him in victory lane. This is a big, big deal for Ross Schwest.
See him doing his work here. You see this in Formula One, of course, just running offline, trying to pick up all those marbles. There's certain things that are checked after the race in inspection in terms of ride height. So if you get a few more marbles on those tires, it lifts the car up in the air a little bit further, adds a little bit of weight. So can't fall asleep here. Still got a job to do, right?
Yeah, no, the job is absolutely not done, and you always have to be mindful. This is such a sweet victory for them, so really massive congratulations. But you never know. You absolutely never know. So it's critically important to be able to, as you see here, bring the car home. You still have a task at hand, and all the way up to still making sure you aren't too fast in the pit lane, bringing it to the podium. But most importantly, congratulations to the entire organization. Very impressive.
Big result for them. There you see it by 16 seconds. It's worth noting Gidley got around Rothberg but did not catch Ross. Really didn't reel him in at all. It was down to 13.5 seconds at one point, but Schwest able to build it back to 16 seconds before it was all said and done. That was a strong performance from him. Rothberg, a solid third. His focus now turns to GT World Challenge America later today, and as mentioned, Farhan Siddiqui comes home fourth. Kyle Washington had his issue today, and we'll have to gather it back up heading into the next round at Barber Motorsport Park. Hope to see Jason Bell with that Racer's Edge car repaired after a big crash yesterday. And again, Blake McDonald electing to focus on GT World Challenge. Did qualify for GT America, but did not take part in the races. So that's the way it wraps up. Let's go ahead and look back in just a moment at race 2 of the weekend. Just over 40 minutes ago, it was Memo Gidley leading the field to green. Kyle Washington mounting the challenge early. Spinning around was Gidley. Washington continued on, but did receive a drive-through penalty for that contact. We stayed green. Ross Schwest inherited the lead and never looked back. Before he could serve the drive-through penalty, Kyle Washington, with a spin through Billy Mitchell Bend, made wall contact and ultimately retired from the race. Something amiss with the steering on his Porsche after the contact. Memo Gidley back on the charge after the spin, made his way around Farhan Siddiqui, then started to track down Justin Rothberg. Siddiqui, though, started to up his pace. He was pressuring Rothberg when he had that spin, which left Ross Schwest to control the race to the checkered flag and take his first win of 2025. And now he's arrived in victory lane, where we'll hear from him shortly. Fantastic performance, but not a lot of time to sit and celebrate it, because he'll be back in action later on today, along with our guest commentator, Mackay Stevens, in GT World Challenge America race number 2 coming up this afternoon. You can see the smile, though, broad under the helmet. Ross Schwest with the finger in the air, and there is Aaron Povolato there to celebrate with him. Smile on his face as well. He'll be racing alongside Ross later on today. Hopefully we can get a quick word with Ross. He's got to get that helmet off and get that Pirelli hat on. This is always the process, isn't it, Mackay? And he's not done this for a little while.
No, you want to bathe in it, right?
Yeah.
And so having the lid on your head, and the moment you release the lid from your head there, then it really is a moment to sink in and to share with everybody that's helped get you there.
Now, Aaron's certainly a big part of that journey. Met him at a track day down in Florida and said, hey, you're pretty quick. Just need to iron out some of the kinks, and he's been there coaching him along every step of the way. It's been a great partnership over the years. Memo Gidley left to rue what might have been had it not been for that spin in turn 1, but still a thumbs up for Memo, and a chance now to hear from our winner with DJ.
Ross Schwest out of the car, your smile bigger than your helmet. It's been a minute since we've seen you here in the in victory lane. This was incredible. This has got to feel great.
Yeah, it felt great. You know, it's been a bit of adjustment going from GT4 to GT3, but just trying to trust the process. And the team's been great. The car was great. The guys did a great job. And I got great support back home with my wife, my daughters, Vivian and Meredith. So, yeah, they're watching back home. So, hi, guys.
Tell me about running those last couple of laps. You had to know Gidley was closing in a little bit. The team giving you the distance, the gaps. How'd you keep everything under control?
It's always a bit of a balance. Even when there's a decent-sized gap, I try to stick to my routine. At the same time, the tires are going off and the tires are degrading. So you do not want to take too many chances. So it's just trying to achieve that balance.
Balance achieved, I would say. He'll be on the top step here, Ryan, and a very happy Ross Schwest.
Thank you.
And well-deserved as well. Congratulations to Ross. Thanks to DJ for all his help down in the pit lane. Great to have the insight of Mackay Stevens on the show, as well as the usual insight from Calvin Fish. Thanks for joining us here at Road America. Up next for GT America, a trip to Barber Motorsports Park.